One of my favorite things to listen to is called the Double Tap Podcast. It's a daily accessible technology show with Stephen Scott and Sean Priest. I was actually featured on the podcast, which was such a blast. We talked about everybody's favorite thing to talk about with me, which is Android versus iPhone, as well as creating when you're blind. I think my favorite part of doing the show was actually a bit controversial and talking about blindness and the models of disability. I don't know. Let me know if you agree with me and Stephen and Sean, or if you have your own thoughts. Leave them in the comments. I really encourage you to go listen to the whole podcast, and I will leave a link down in the description, or you can just find Double Tap Podcast and search for their episodes. One of them is called Carrie on Accessibility. Here's just a little bit from that episode.
No, you're here to talk about Windows and Android, and I'm against it. I just want to say that up front. I'm against it.
Uh-oh. Is there an Android problem here? Is it? Are we going to have issues?
I think when we first spoke, Stephen, what was it? What did I say? I said, I don't like iPhone, or I don't use iPhone. And there was this dead silence.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, can you believe
I'm so
this?
sorry.
Yeah.
And you made it onto the show. That's incredible. No, you stand up for yourself. Okay? That's absolutely fine. If you love Android, you love Android. It's perfect. Good for you. You tell him.
Well, I told Stephen that I'm just surprised I continue listening to the show because there's so much iPhone, iOS content, Mac content on this show. And, you know,
Okay,
I take the time out of my day to listen.
Right.
Hey,
Don't
listen,
get nasty about it.
even the haters love to love, right? So, you know.
It's really good to see more blind and visually impaired people on the platform, right? And as you said, Instagram and TikTok as well. But because there's always been visually impaired people on there, but when you see the quality that you're producing, you know, and Sam from The Blind Life, you know, James Rath and people that are out there, it's like, you know what, we're competing on the same level here. And yes, of course,
but we're not.
Well, no, we're not, obviously. No, absolutely not.
I mean, I know I do Double Tap TV, but that's a whole other thing because there's like professionals behind that. This is dog and pony, right?
Yeah.
I will say that it's so refreshing to be on a podcast because I don't have to worry about my hair or my background, or if I'm wearing pajamas or whatever. You know, nobody's looking at me. I'm like, wow, this is kind of nice.
Yes, me and Stephen are both physically grotesque, so you're absolutely fine. Relax. No problems here. Faces for radio.
I want to ask a bit about the Android thing because, look, we've got to bring it up, right? I mean, it's that kind of, you know, okay, so you're using Android. Why not Apple? I can't wait for the email inbox this week. This is going to be a fun one. Yes, carry on. You know, being blind. You know, being blind is a good thing, some people say. You know, there are a lot of blind people out there who advocate very strongly that, you know, this is not something we should, in quotes, fix. I have my own views on this. You might not be surprised.
Ridiculous. I've said my view. Absolutely ridiculous.
I tend to think, you know what, if I could get my vision back tomorrow, I'd take it. That's my take on it. I don't know where you stand on this, Carrie, but I'm...
We bring you on to talk about YouTube.
Comments.
We are throwing you under the bus. I am so sorry.
You put this out there. You know, that's the problem.
Yeah. No, I definitely would have it back. Actually did a poll on this on YouTube, and I asked like the audience if there was some type of surgery or pill or whatever that cured your blindness, would you? And I was just so surprised because there were people that would say no, but the majority said yes, and or yes if it was safe, something like that. And I mean, well, we're gonna get into hot water here. But
say what you want to say.
Recently, I think you were talking about like the medical model and like the social model.
God, yeah.
And everybody's advocating for the social model, and I can see why. But
and that's the argument that is essentially saying that, you know, it's not for us to fix the problem, it's for society to fix the problem. So, for example, in the social model, which I don't disagree with, is if I go to a restaurant and I can't get in because I'm in a wheelchair and there's no way in, then it's up to the restaurant to fix that problem, right? They need to put a ramp in for me to be able to get in. Now, that I agree with.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But there's also many different models. There's the economic model. There's the psychological model of disability. There's a lot of them. And I'm like, okay, can we just take all these different elements from all these different models? Because really, there is something in my genes that has made me blind. Like that's something I would say is medical. Yep. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and like change it or if there was or something like that. But if there was a way that I could have my sight, yes, I would absolutely do that. And, you know, if there's some people that won't, well then, okay, that's okay. You do you.
Yeah, I think it's the social model to me just creates this sense of it's everyone else's fault. Now, I don't necessarily like that. You know, if I go to a restaurant and that restaurant offers me a Braille menu to try and compensate for the fact that they don't have a large print option or they don't have another option in audio or whatever, then I'm not going to turn around to that restaurant and say, you've done me wrong. Because it's not their fault. They've tried to do something. Now, you can argue, well, they didn't do enough. But, you know, also, when is it on us as individuals? We do have some responsibility. And we also have agency. We have the ability to take control of that by learning to use a smartphone, use an app like Seeing AI, use the new Be My Eyes, beta that's out just now, which is just incredible for saying, like you were saying the other day, Sean, you know, I want to know what price the chicken fried rice is. Yeah. You can just ask the app and it'll tell you.
It was so cool.
And that's the point, right? So, you know, this is why I think that the answer is probably everything. It's not one thing. It's not that the social model is the answer versus the medical model. I don't like that because if we were all intended to be blind, we wouldn't be born with eyes, right? We just wouldn't be. There would be no eyes. There would be no eyes where, so we didn't have any.
That's a new app. Be no eyes.
Be no eyes.
So those were just a few snippets. I hope you enjoyed that, and I really hope that you go and listen to the full episode because it was just awesome. Even my mom listened to it, which I had to run upstairs, and I didn't want to listen to it while she did. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video.